This is your overview of all 10 towns in Icewind Dale and deep dives into both Rime of the Frost Maiden starter quests, Cold-Hearted Killer and Nature Spirits. To help you decide where to launch your Frost Maiden campaign, to make sure these quests are fun and memorable, and to show you the DM's Guild supplement you may actually want to start your campaign with, this week's sponsor, Icewind Dale Notice Boards. Here we go. Hi, Bob here, and welcome to Bob World Builder, where we learn how to have more fun playing D&D together. Mostly through DM guides for official campaigns like Dragon of Icefire Peak and Icewind Dale Rime of the Frost Maiden. So hit that subscribe button to get helpful DM guides under your subscriptions tab every Wednesday, and to push us a little closer to our Tasha's Cauldron giveaway goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers. Details linked below. Chapter 1 begins with a note about the hardy people of 10 towns, outcasts, fugitives, or pariahs, and their ancestors, who are now all fishers, loggers, miners, hunters, trappers, furriers, and traders, accustomed to the harsh climate, the slow pace, and the isolation of 10 towns. The book suggests you review the information on each town from this chapter, then choose one as a starting place for your campaign, stating it doesn't matter which one. But I like to start my campaigns with more intention, so before we get into the true starting quests, let's run through the main details of each town and their quests. Bremen is a sleepy lake and river town founded by dwarf prospectors, familiar to fans of Phandalin perhaps, and only accessible by boat or by crossing the frozen Shanegarn River. Bremen is apparently a friendly place for having an awakened plesiosaurus terrorizing the town, and it has the third lowest population in 10 towns. Its elderly dwarf leader is short a few marbles, there are no real guards here, and by sacrificing warmth to Auril, no one in Bremen lights fires between dusk and dawn on a new moon. Plus, Bremen is the starting town in the Icewind Dale live play series run by Nate from WASD 20. Nate's videos really helped me get into D&D several years ago, so I definitely recommend checking out his channels, linked below. Brynshander is the largest and brightest town with high walls and everything travelers could want in Icewind Dale, including a quest where your party must retrieve a caravan of goods from goblins, also familiar to fans of Phandalin. But the goblins' polar bears make it even more deadly. The youngish town speaker here actually leads the council of town speakers, and Brynshander has a sheriff, a smithy, a shrine, a rowdy inn and tavern, and human sacrifices to the Frost Maiden. Yeah, but this connects to one of our starting quests coming up in a minute. Caer Dineval and Caer Konig have been cut off since East Haven cancelled its lake ferry a few months ago. Caer Dineval is not a nice place. It has the second lowest population, a reportedly ill and rarely seen town speaker who is actually being held hostage in the castle, aka the Caer, by devil-worshipping cultists. But fortunately, these two towns only sacrifice food to Auril. Caer Konig is more comfortable, slightly larger, and has a drunk dragonborn for a town speaker who's currently struggling to find the invisible Dwergar thieves that connect us to part of the main story. Dugan's Hole is the smallest and creepiest town by far, making it a good place to start if you're really getting into the horror. The speaker is useless to the party, and even discourages them from searching for the lost boys who you will learn have been taken by intelligent, extortionist winter wolves serving an awakened mammoth. Yes, more awakened beasts. East Haven is a uniquely prosperous town under the circumstances, where pickpocketing is hilariously a legal activity. It has the third largest population, with a respected speaker and militia captain, a nice inn and tavern, and more human sacrifices to the Frost Maiden. But this town is plot heavy, between the execution of one of the Arcane Brotherhood wizards, a handful of Dwergar, and the chance to obtain an important magic item from an evil hag. Targos is another large walled town with an inn, tavern, and general store, where the town speaker and militia leader are agents of the Zentarum. Its quest gives your party a true taste of the wilderness with mountain travel, hazards, cragcats, and a yeti. Goodmead, Lonelywood, and Tourmaline are all between a lake and a patch of forest, but Goodmead stands out for its recently murdered town speaker, its incredible beekeeping success during the Everlasting Rime, and its postponed mead trade, which the characters must restart by retrieving casks of mead from a lovesick giant. Lonelywood is the primary logging town of Icewind Dale. It's a very simple town with a scrimshaw shop, a tavern, and a closed inn kindly offered to the characters by the halfling town speaker for slaying a murderous white moose and potentially the evil frost druid who's awakening all of these animals. Tourmaline is described as the most picturesque town in Icewind Dale. Its population is closest to the mean for 10 towns, there's some political drama around the speaker's right to rule, there's an inn, a tavern, and a recently abandoned mine with a few kobolds and their ghost-possessed leader, plus one of those ridiculous grells which has floated up from the Underdark. Between the forest, the lake, and the mine, the not too big or too small population, the tense political situation, and the scary yet funny quest, Tourmaline had something to offer each one of my player characters. So that's where we chose to start our campaign after I shared my mostly spoiler-free details of each town. And rather than myself choosing which quest to launch our campaign with, I left it up to my players. Before our first session, I gave each of them a quest hook based on their character's secrets or motivations. The fighter had heard about the Tourmaline mine needing to be cleared out. The ranger had been asked to hunt down a chwinga, as in the Nature Spirit starting quest, and the sorcerer, who is secretly blessed by the Frost Maiden and a member of the Harpers, had been tasked with investigating the murders from the Cold-Hearted Killer quest. But of course, our first session turned into an almost deadly, completely improvised hunt for a killer-awakened polar bear instead of any of the 3-seated quests. Overall, it was a fast and fun way to bond them together as a party. And for several reasons we're about to go over, the 2 starting quests from the book don't really accomplish that goal. So let's check out a few of the 20 awesome mini-quests from Icewind Dale Notice Board Seeds that are just better ways to get your party from level 1 to level 2. Oriel's Touch has your party delivering supplies to an isolated tower, where a young girl chosen by the Frost Maiden is locked away, because she cannot help but summon crystalline frost creatures to attack those nearby. This quest introduces Oriel's cold wrath through a moral quandary, common among 10 towns, where your party will face a few of these frost creatures, then must choose to simply complete their task or free this potentially dangerous conduit of the Frost Maiden's power. Gravedigger sends your party to dig up the remains of a necromancer before his evil followers can. There's a table of 6 potential encounters and treasures they could find while digging, which is a great way to introduce important items or lore. Merfolk Reclamation and Morning Dryad fit well for towns near a lake or a forest, and they both put the players between the desires of the townspeople and protectors of the wilderness. Merfolk against the over-harvesting of Scrimshaw, and a Dryad who must be returned to the forest. Both parties could make important allies for the towns in the ultimate fight against Oriel's forces. Many of the quests are better suited for higher levels, and the quest boards just make awesome props for your game. You can check out Icewind Dale Notice Board Seeds through the affiliate link below to support the channel. And there's a link to the author's bundle of these notice boards with 30 more strange encounters and 8 complete adventures, so you'll never run out of material and inspiration for building your campaign in Icewind Dale. Now, the Cold-Hearted Killer starting quest from Rime of the Frost Maiden has gotten a lot of attention for being too dangerous for a level 1 party, and I kind of agree. But that's not the problem. The problem is this line. This quest is no murder mystery. It's a hunt. It sets the expectation that your party simply needs to find and kill the suspected murderer. That's where the danger comes in, and where the fun dies. So let's turn this hunt back into a murder mystery. First of all, the box text is great. If you decide to start with this quest, it can immediately follow the cold open to reveal some important details about the murders, namely, their locations and the MO, a dagger of ice through the heart. Plus, our quest giver gets an awesome introduction. Sitting apart from the drunken lot is an elderly shield dwarf with a nasty scar across her nose, who looks like she has something worth knowing. She's been smoking her pipe and eyeing you ever since you walked in. The Strider-esque Lynn Trollbane is described as a retired dwarven bounty hunter investigating the murders out of boredom and a sense of moral decency, because not even the Council of Speakers can be bothered to do so. and she's willing to tell the party all she knows about her prime suspect, Sephek. But who is Helene Trollbane really? In my game, she's a member of the Harpers and a contact of my player character who is secretly a spy for this noble faction of Faerun. But she could be a friend or family member of one of the victims, or a private investigator hired by a townspeople who doesn't want the other council members to know they're investigating it. She could be a would-be victim who narrowly escaped Sephek, or simply an old enemy of the trading company Sephek works for. As written, Helene tells the party all about Torg's trading company, and the owner, Torga Icewind. She tells your party that all 3 victims come from towns that sacrifice people to the Frostmaiden, and that they were probably trying to escape the lottery. And she tells the party that Sephek seems strangely immune to the cold. Kiss of the Frostmaiden indeed. This is all information that your party should learn through their own investigation. Finally, she offers 100 gold pieces if they deal with him, preferably without involving the authorities, which is super shady, but the weirdest part is that you're supposed to randomly determine the location of Torg's traveling company, and roll again if it's in the starting town. Like, why did we pick a starting town if your party's going to be leaving immediately? So I suggest beginning this quest at 2 murders, with the only connection being the icy daggers to the heart. Let your players discover which towns sacrifice people and the connection to Torg's trading company. Let them learn from townsfolk about Torga's protection racket and other disappearances that can be linked to her company, because as written, she is in fact also a murderer. Then let them sneak into Torga's caravan at night and find her lockbox, not with treasure, but a bloody dagger, and a map to her treasure at some location you want them to visit. Then let them uncover the dead half-elf with a stab wound in his chest. And most of these clues are technically red herrings because they point to Torga herself being the murderer. So Cold-Hearted Killer should not be your starter quest. It should be your main story during Chapter 1, played out over several sessions while your party completes other town quests and gradually gathers clues while following Torga's trading company. And at some point, one of your observant PCs will notice Torga's well-built bodyguard with no armor or cold weather clothing and strikingly blue eyes. According to the book, Sephek nearly died in a shipwreck near Aurel's Island, but the spirit of a frost druid beholden to Aurel possessed him, and it uses him as a living vessel to do the Frostmaiden's work. At night, Sephek is written to either stalk victims or drink and carouse, then fall asleep. But the latter activities aren't very living vessel of the Frostmaiden to me. So I would have Sephek spend the night aimlessly walking the streets, wandering into the tundra, or renting a room with a window so the characters can spy on him, standing in a dark corner all night, never sleeping, always plotting. And his next target should be one of the low-ranking town officials who are apparently being paid off by these lottery-dodging victims. When they confront him, the book says he'll admit his guilt and surrender, but he should totally just try to kill your party in the name of the Frostmaiden. If he dies, the druid spirit is written to be destroyed, but I would give it the chance to possess one of your characters with a DC 13 charisma saving throw based on the ghost possession feature. And rather than have his cool weapons be destroyed, I would let them be wielded by a character with the Midwinter's Child secret, or just be cursed. And the best way to make Sephek your villain for Arc 1 of your campaign, give this Lieutenant of Aurel 3 forms, just like his master, to signal the greater dangers to be faced by your party. The first form should be the most human, with halved hit points, no cold regeneration, and no multi-attack. When he's killed, the body shatters like ice and reforms on Aurel's Island where he was first possessed. The second form can function like the book's stat block, but be more obviously undead, with no hair or clothes and frosty blue skin. The third form should have double hit points, stronger attacks and spells, and a higher AC from icy crystalline armor that encases his body. And hey, if you like these ideas and you're getting value out of this video, remember to hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps me, and it helps more people find these videos. And if you want reference PDFs of these guides with custom stat blocks for Sephek's alternate forms, join the Bob World Builder Patreon linked below like a bunch of people did this week. You'll get even more rewards like our monthly podcast and community-designed NPCs and magic item cards, like this month's spooky and silly item, the Bag of Spiders. Thanks. Now, our second starting quest, Nature Spirits, also prompts the party to explore various locales in 10 towns. But I think this one does make a decent starter quest for level 1 characters in their starting town with a few changes. Most importantly, the quest giver, Danica Greysteel, is described as a young spellcaster trying to find a way to alter the climate in Icewind Dale by studying chwingas. But Danica should totally be replaced with one of the Arcane Brotherhood wizards to introduce them early on in the campaign. They don't have to reveal their true identity or motives, but these early inclusions are how we DMs need to weave the story together. So you could use the evil albino tiefling, Avarice, to provide a connection to the Black Sword cult in Caer Dineval. Or Veline Harple, who becomes an important ally during the Charlatan Dragon's destruction of 10 towns. Or Dazan, like I did, who is written to have hired some adventurers for help finding the Lost Netherese city, and so when my characters eventually travel to East Haven to bring him the captured chwinga, they'll immediately see him being burned at the stake for eliminating his other employees, only to later meet his simulacrum and cause hilarious confusion among my players. Whoever the quest giver is, they also give your party a lantern of tracking elementals, which burns bright green within 300 feet of chwingas or any elementals, making for a great sting glowing near the goblins moment if your party takes advantage of it. And despite what the text says, I would have the chwingas be in the starting town if you plan to start your adventure with this quest. As if the character with this quest hook had already talked to the fisher reeking of dwarven ale who saw a tiny figure riding a fox through town, but they actually remembered where it happened. Then play out the Thieves in the Wind section as written, where Elva stomps out of her snow-covered cottage on the outskirts of town, warning them about these so-called trickster spirits. After following the tiny chwinga tracks, or fox footprints, describe the playing house scene from the book, but I wouldn't require a character to play along with the chwinga's games. Simply, once they are spotted, if the first character to act does anything other than immediately attack or try to grab the chwinga, have it become fixated with them for 10 days before bestowing a charm and departing as written. If they do attack, have the chwingas use their natural shelter trait to disappear into the snow, cast Pass Without a Trace, and sneak away. Except the one with the fox friend, who can be chased back through town, or maybe to the cave of a random awakened polar bear. So if you found this guide useful, remember to join Patreon like Chelsea, Mahoney's Famous Bones, Dr. Woots, Rhiannon, Mike, Mr. Fire, Cap, Alex, Smithel, Nathan, Duke, Appreciate, and Jonas all did this week. Seriously, thank you all for your support, and keep building.